Today, I would like to give a very warm welcome to our friend Judith Ragir. Judith has been in 12-step recovery for quite some time. I believe it's 47 years. and also practicing Zen Buddhism for maybe a little longer, I believe. And she will tell you more about herself, but just as by way of introduction, she's very kindly offered to take us through the steps over the course of a year on the fourth Monday of every month. And as she explains it, her interweaving of the 12 steps and Zen Buddhism, which is her practice, the foundation of her practice. So today we are on step 3. And with that, Judith, I will turn it over to you. Great to see you, and thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. This is a great opportunity for me because it's kind of rare when a 12-step group will let you talk about other things. So I really appreciate the workshop aspect of this group. And I'm just going to straight out say that I'm going to really be digging into how the steps fit into Buddhism particularly. So if that's not your interest, this is the wrong place to be, because I'm quite straightforwardly going to teach Buddhism through the lens of the steps. So I think what might be nice is to just start with a meditation practice, because of course, meditation, the step 11, is very important in 12-step. It's a little bit hard to figure out what exactly that means. How do you meditate? And also, it's very essential. It's one of the bases in Buddhism. So I'm going to try and do a 10-minute meditation. So find how you want to be, how you want to sit or lie down for the next 10 minutes. And I'm going to guide it. And I'm going to use a format that I learned from Philip Moffitt, who is a Vipassana teacher in America. And I love his work. So, okay, we're going to start. So finding a place for you to sit and relax and bring yourself to arrive. There's 3 words in this framework: arrive, available, and align. And I'm going to take you through that. So let's start with arriving. Let's arrive in this present moment. And you can kind of get a felt sense, a little shifting, when your consciousness really says, okay, I'm going to be in the present moment. That means that everything that's happened today so far, you're going to let go. You're not going to use your mind to predict the future or manipulate or manage the future. Just for this small, short amount of time, you're going to practice being present, in presence with yourself and with your environment. So one of the first things I do to arrive is to get into my body, feel my body, feel how I'm sitting, figure out what are the sensations that are in my body. Some parts might be tight, some parts might be relaxed. Just becoming more aware of this precious human body. Without this vehicle, we wouldn't be here. And it stays with us our whole lifespan. And it's working every single second invisibly to support us. Our body supports us in so many ways. Breathing, pumping the blood, neurological things, thinking, digesting our food, everything to nourish us and support us. Usually we associate ourselves with our consciousness, but it's also our body. And in the body is the breath, which is a major landmark in meditation. And not thinking about the breath or pushing the breath around, but just feeling your breathing. Can you notice when you're inhaling? Can you notice when you're exhaling? So, though the body is still usually when you're meditating, but inside the body is movement, the movement of the breath, the movement of the blood, the movement of the nerve messages. So very, very still and a lot of movement, both. The other thing in arriving is just to notice what you're feeling. How's your emotional state? And the next word is available. Can you be available to what is actually happening right now? So, like, for example, with your emotional state, can you just be available to whatever you're feeling, as opposed to trying to get rid of it or control it or transform it or make it into something else? Can you just open your hands and open your heart and open your mind to being available to the present moment just as it is? Often we want to change the present moment, but I have found that actually accepting it deeply, however it's arising, is actually the very first shift in my body sensation of it transforming to a more positive, wholesome moment. So just spending a moment becoming more available. Acceptance is really the word, accepting things exactly as they are. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems. And it's the start of transformation and growth. And the next A, we had arrive, available to whatever's happening, not controlling, but just being open to your life and your life energy and the lessons that are being presented to you. And the third one is alignment, alignment with our values, alignment with our spiritual practice. Can I become even more aligned with my intentions? So there are a lot of spiritual values: kindness, generosity, patience, compassion, letting go. So any intention that you're working on, you can bring it forward in your meditation and really think about it. Or think isn't exactly the word, but digest or contemplate your intention. If you're working on a particular step, that could be your intention. And sometimes I use a slogan for my intention. And I'll just very softly and gently say the slogan to myself over and over. Since we're on the third step today, we could say, let go and let God as you understand God. And in a Buddhist version of it, I sometimes say, let go and let the universe flow. Let go and let the universe flow. Relax and take it easy. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Okay, I'm going to call that the end. I don't have a bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Okay. We're going to work on step 3 today. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. So last time I was here, I did quite a long talk on God in Buddhism. So if you weren't here, you might want to check that one out. So the thing that's a little bit hard or needs translation, the steps are written in a Judeo-Christian language with a, well, it's not always an anthropomorphized God, but often it is, that there is a person or a being that is the God, and it could be male or female. Usually it's male. These days I'm calling God a they, non-gender, or gender fluid. God is gender fluid. But mostly there is no centralized God in Buddhism. There's no central figure or being that is watching over you. So this is a little bit hard because often the steps are built in that way, that you rely on this being. So last time we talked about this interdependence and almost scientific rules, or I don't know what to call it, but the world is working. So someone would like to control my camera. I don't get that. I'm going to decline this. So also, I'll just say I don't look at the chat because I can't keep my focus if things are popping up. So we're talking, where were we? We were talking about the Buddhist understanding of interdependence, of, I talked about it as Indra's net. So all beings have are like a knot in a fisherman's net. We're all connected and we move. If someone moves that way, everybody moves. We're very interconnected. Inside and outside are connected. And there is some kind of intelligence behind, invisible intelligence that is working. And the couple of names that I've used are the total dynamic working of the universe. This is Zenki in Japanese. And another word for that is the whole works, which is a cute, poetic way of saying that you can trust the intelligence of the world, even if it's not centralized in a being. And that's what we're doing in the second step. I talked a lot about how do you develop trust that the world is working, that karma, what you do, you'll get a response, that all of these things work. And if you get in alignment with the working of the world, then you can trust quite a bit, or at least I can. So I want to start to talk about the third step. In my Buddhist understanding, the third step has a lot to do with wise intention, which is one of the Eightfold Path in Buddhism. And I have a little PowerPoint, which I'm going to see. Hopefully, I know how to do this as a boomer. You are sharing your screen. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes.
All right. Hello. All right. So this is the most essential Buddhism. Buddha did this, was his first teaching that he did after his enlightenment day under the Bodhi tree. And this is very important to me. So there are three main tools or bases in Buddhism, and it's called the three-legged stool. And as you know, if you have a three-legged stool, all the legs have to be equal so that you're stable and balanced. So in Buddhism, it's very important that all three of these bases are developed in the same quality and the same amount. So, for example, I've been in Buddhism for 50 years in the convert Buddhist community, and we have overemphasized samadhi or meditation in my belief, so that the other ones, ethics and behavior and wisdom, have kind of wobbled. So this is a big teaching for me that these three things have to be equally developed to have an integrated spiritual life. So the first one is wisdom, understanding the truth about life. The second one is samadhi, or unification of the mind, and that's about concentration, meditation, and mindfulness. So, step 11 would be included in this space. And sila is ethics and behavior. Is your behavior in your human life in alignment with your values and your intentions? And this has been a little underdeveloped in Buddhism, in my opinion. But in 12th step, this is highly developed through steps 5 through 9. And I think this is a gift that 12th step gives us, a way of really working on changing our habits and our behavior. So this is the most simple basis of Buddhism, these three bases working together equally. Now, the Eightfold Path comes out of the three bases. Let me see. Can you guys read that, the chart? Yeah? I'm not seeing anybody say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
You
right,
can
good.
always pinch it with your two thumbs and it'll become larger on your screen.
Oh, I can?
No, I mean, if
Oh,
participants.
you guys
Yeah.
can do that. You can
Yeah.
make it larger. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what the third step for me in terms of Buddhism is in the wisdom base, and it's under wise intention. So under wisdom, we have wise view and wise intention. So this is the reason I'm showing you these charts, because I want you to see where it fits, where the third step made a decision. What is your intention how it fits into the most primary Buddhist teaching. Samadhi is the 11th step, so I'll probably in the future work on this one. We are going to work a little bit on wise effort, which usually, traditionally, they put wise effort under samadhi, but I'm putting it in the middle because I think how we approach how we use our effort is very, very spiritual, and it has a lot to do with how we're using our willpower or our self-reliance. And in the third step, it says we turn our willpower, our self-reliance, we turn over to the higher being or the God of our understanding. So we'll talk a little bit about wise effort. And Sila we'll talk about in steps 5 through 9 in more detail. So we're just going to work with the Eightfold Path, wise intention. And traditionally, it's been translated as right intention, but I don't like the translation of right because it puts it right and wrong. And Buddhism is really beyond right and wrong. It's really practice. I am practicing my intention. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail, sometimes I do it rightly, sometimes I do it wrongly. But no matter what the evaluation, I keep practicing. And that's what I feel a lot about the 12 steps. There's no graduation party. In fact, I've been in a program for most of my life, but I'm in a extreme situation at the moment, and I'm just practicing the steps. And there's nothing else to do but to practice what we're learning. So I'm just going to classically talk about wise intention for a minute, so you get a traditional background. But our intentions are so important. Our mental intentions, our mental aspirations, our heart aspirations are very, very important in how our spiritual life proceeds. And maybe I'll wait on talking more about it, and I'll just do the last slide. These are the classic Buddhist intentions. Now, I'm using the word vow because I think the third step is a kind of a vow. It's a spiritual vow. I am vowing that my whole life I'm going to work on turning it over, letting go of my self-reliance, and trusting in the universal regulation of my life. This is a vow, and it's very important. It sets up the rest of our program and the rest of the steps. So, but just in case you don't know the most classic Buddhist vows, here are some of them. The 3 pure precepts, which I really love these. They're simple. Do good, don't do harm, help yourself and others to freedom. So this is very much 12 step. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We're working that our behavior goes towards wholesomeness, and we're hoping to free ourselves from the bondage of self and help others to do that also. And then we have the Bodhisattva vows. These are in Mahayana Buddhism, which is the Buddhism that I have been brought up in. And they are strange. And the reason I find them strange is because you can't accomplish them. They are accomplishment-less goals. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. So if they're numberless, if they're infinite, there's no end game. It's just a constant practice of trying to free myself and free others. Greed, anger, and ignorance arise endlessly. This is the human predicament. This is the human mind. That these three, what they call in Buddhism, these three poisons, just keep coming up because of our minds, the human mind. And if I'm able to notice them, if I'm aware of them, if I've done my fourth and fifth step quite well, then I can notice when they arise and I can intervene. I can interrupt. I can change my focus to more spiritually based intentions or reactions. So greed, anger, and ignorance arise endlessly. I vow to end them. I love this one too. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. And this has to do with living in the present moment. There are millions, billions of present moments. My teacher used to say that there, I can't remember the number, but a moment is 1/62nd of a finger snap. So 1/62nd of that is a moment. So the moments are boundless, infinite, endless. They just keep going. And the practice I have is trying to enter each moment freshly, unprejudiced, and having the wisdom of my intentions so that I react to the moment in the most wholesome way, so I don't do harm. And the last one is also this Don Quixote dream the impossible dream, or it's impossible to get the result. It's just a practice. My Philip Moffitt, my latest teacher, says, practice, practice. Don't practice resulting. Spiritual life is not about results or success. It's about in each moment choosing to the best of our ability the most wholesome reaction to what is happening. The Buddha's way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. And there's many, many translations of these, but I like the word embody because there's nowhere else to be, my dear, dear friends. There's nowhere else to be but in our own bodies, with our own karma, with our own history, and with the path that's laid in front of us. You know, snowflakes, they say there's no snowflake the same. They're all uniquely snowflakes, unique. And that's the same with people. There is only one Judith Ragir, even though they're doppelgangers. I mean, there's other Jewish women who look like me, or, you know, they might even have your same name, although nobody has your Ragir name, but they do not have the same parents, the same gender, the same ethnic background, the same history, the same traumas. Nobody. You are unique. And part of program for me has been accepting who I am, what my narrative has been, what my karma is like, loving myself, accepting myself, and then learning how to change my habit patterns and react differently than I've done in the past. Okay, that was the screen share. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about a vow. What does a vow mean? Again, I'm just going to say, I'm saying the third step is a type of a spiritual vow. I made a decision to turn my life and my will over to the care of the omniscient God. So, my root teacher was Katagiri Roshi. He has several books out on the market. And in one, he has a chapter in the book, You Have to Say Something, that's called Living in Vow. So that's what he talks about as Buddhist practice, is every moment, every day, you live in your vows. And he said that the Buddha mind, so we talked about this last time. So sometimes there's different aspects of Buddha or God. There's the historic Buddha for a intelligent being who became the highest level of humankind. Jesus and Mohammed, and these people are in that category. There is Buddha nature, which is the life energy and the intelligence that runs through all things, alive or dead, or a rock or a person. There's a flowing of chi in the constructed reality, and that is called kind of a God. It's an interpretation of God, Buddha nature. And then there's our Buddha nature, our ability. Yay! It's Buddhism is very optimistic. It says you can be a Buddha. Yes, you can be a beautiful, loving, wonderful servant to others. You can do that if you keep your vow. So that's another aspect. So in this chapter, it talks about the Buddha mind. So that's the omniscient chi that runs through everything. The Buddha mind has a shape of a vow. When the Buddha mind comes into constructed reality, its shape is a vow. Isn't that beautiful? To me, that's beautiful. And I'm going to read you 3 paragraphs. I know reading isn't as fun as me talking, but I don't think I could say this better than my teacher said it. So here we go. The first paragraph. The open, expansive one mind comes into the world of form in the shape of our mental intentions. Our vows and aspirations shape the way our future unfolds. They become the consequences of our actions and our karma. So I love that our mental intentions shape the way our future happens. No stinking thinking, guys. That's a hard one, isn't it? I'm in this extreme crisis and I have to guard my mind every moment, really, because if I go down the wrong path, I totally lose it. Okay, here's the next paragraph by my teacher, Katagiri Roshi. He has now passed on. Habits are linked to our desires. If there is no satisfaction in a habit, you won't continue it for very long. Living in vow, on the other hand, is to carry out your routines with no sense of attempting to satisfy your desires. Under all circumstances, beyond your likes and dislikes, you have to carry on. It's pretty hard, but very important. The difference is total. So what I'm getting, like step 4 is a lot about identifying our habits that are producing negative effects in our life. So that's just a 12-step thing. But what he's saying is a vow is different than a habit because a vow is not based on likes or dislikes. A vow is not based on whether it makes you happy or not. You just do your vow. That's a deep sense of surrender. And it doesn't have to do with success and failure. It has to do with your spiritual request of yourself. And it doesn't have to do with satisfying our desires. Okay, and the last paragraph is this. Oh, I love this. He always used to say, what happens in your meditation is none of your business. That's so great. That's really turning your life and your will over to the care of God. You can't even control what happens when you're meditating. So, the changes that occur through spiritual practice are not really your business. If you make them your business, you will try to change your life directly. If you try to change your life directly, no matter how long you work on it, you will not satisfy yourself. So, if you truly want to change your life, you should just form the routine of doing small things day by day. Then your life will be changed beyond your expectations. And I thought this went really well with the idea of turning over my will. So let me just talk about that a little bit, and then I'll be done. I am very stubborn, very strong-willed. I was raised in a family where you had to take care of yourself. And I learned how to do that. I'm a loner. I can do, well, I used to think I could do anything if I just clenched my fist and barreled through like my mother did. So when I came to program, that's how I entered. That was my habit, that I was going to use my willpower, my self-restraint, my intelligence, and I was going to barrel through the steps, and I was going to change this person that I hated, basically. I hated myself, I hated my life, and I was going to clench both fists and fight to the finish. And the finish was going to be me being a saint. Everyone would love me. I would know what to tell everybody. And oddly, after 50 years, I am on the speaker routine. I do give inspirational talks. I do things like that. But it wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of me. It was because I began to know what letting go meant through coming to meetings, through people teaching me, through sponsors. I began to see that I am not in control, that my willpower can't do this, that if I want to become a softer, gentler, more loving person, I can't do it by my willpower. And that is definitely in the third step. I turn my will over. And actually, this has something to do. Maybe I can see if I can share the screen again. Yeah. What I'm talking about has something to do with this triangle. What is wise effort? So I began by thinking that wise effort was my willpower, my discipline. I was really disciplined at the beginning, and I'm in OA. I'm in AA, OA, and Al-Anon. I'm currently mostly doing Al-Anon, which I adore. But in OA, for example, I just learned how to be anorexic. I got so tight with my willpower that I would call my sponsor if I ate an extra string bean. It was not spiritual. It was all based on my will and discipline and dieting. So I didn't get very far in the expansiveness and open-heartedness of spirituality. I was more and more tight. And I don't think spiritual people are that tight. In fact, I think they're very relaxed. And in this wise effort, Pema Chodron talks, she's a famous Tibetan teacher, modern teacher. She talks about not being too tight and not being too loose. So can we find that edge where we are responsible for our actions? We do the steps. We do know what our character defects are, but step 7, such a beautiful step, is we change by grace. We actually change by not trying. That the omniscient power, the power greater than ourselves, will change us if we're doing our spiritual practices. And I think I have one more sentence, right? Here it is. We have to relax about our vows. If we are exhausted, we have lost our connection to unbounded openness or emptiness. We have lost sight of faith. Our will is trying too hard, and we get exhausted. And I have been exhausted for decades because of my stubborn, fisted trying. So my basic practice now is not to do that. I'm really working on non-doing. And here it is here. We have a commitment to non-doing, to letting go and letting God. This non-doing is beyond doing and not doing, or success and failure. So this is a big change in my current practice, is really saying that my life is unfolding the way it's supposed to, that I am Buddha, not a person I hate and have to change, that little by little, step by step, I do small things every day that change the course of the future. And basically, God is doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. And I'm just going to say something personal right now. My 32-year-old son has testicular cancer, and he's doing chemotherapy. In fact, he's doing it at this very moment. And I have 50 years of program. I'm a Zen Buddhist teacher. I'm at the top of the line. But it doesn't matter, because I have to turn this over. I have to surrender. I have to be kind to myself. I have to know the boundaries between me and my son, which Al-Anon is helping me. There's so much going on, and it's just practicing every single day, doing the steps, going to meetings, turning it over, being gentler. And in this situation, non-doing, just being present and showing up. I don't know what should happen. I don't know what my son should do. I don't know anything, really. I have to have faith. And I think this is a huge opportunity of growth for me in this idea of non-doing, of turning it over. There is nothing my willpower can do in this situation. And I just want to say, oh God, humbleness, being humble. I'm going to say something very humbly to you. So I moved to California to be near my son while he goes through this. I got COVID, so I couldn't help him for 2 weeks. Then we had family dynamics that we had to work through, which were very stressful. Then LA had an earthquake and a hurricane, and I did it by myself in a very small, subpar Airbnb. And then I took my son to chemotherapy for the first time. And that night I had chest pains. I had to go to the hospital, and it was just stress. Thankfully, I'm not having a heart attack, but that was such a deep flag. Like, hey girl, you have got to let go. On the very deepest level, you're not in control. You have to practice taking care of yourself every single day. I'm not central. There's a lot of people helping my son. So I am right in the middle of practicing deeply one day at a time. And when I get in these extreme situations, which happen every now and then in one's life, what I realize is I even have an image of a shovel digging deeper into my third step, shoveling down deeper and deeper into what it means to let go. Thanks for letting me share the personal. I wasn't going to, but wow, you never graduate, my dear friends, because life is very hard, and then you die. So